I created this channel so I could make more commentary that's kind of off the cuff and just kind of more my opinions, more loose, you know. So it's not as journalistic, because I've said this before. I felt like people were putting down this pressure on me that I was very journalistic type on Edwin's Generation, and at first it intimidated me. Then I was like, you know what? I see it as a compliment. It's obviously intimidating to be held at a high standard like that. But then I thought, you know what? I'll just create a different channel where I can just be more expressive without having to worry about things. You know, like this, everything that goes on this channel. I mean, you could probably just compare this one to the other one. That it's less planned. I feel like people get lost in the whole pitchforking, right? Because I do not condone that. I think that's wrong. I think people need to learn by taking proper accountability. And for this specific instance with Shane Dawson, as I expressed in my last live streams, you guys saw how passionate I was, is because I feel truly deceived. I feel let down, you know? Like if you look at my past history of tweets with Shane Dawson, like I've always been supportive. You know, I've always wanted to give Shane Dawson the benefit of the doubt, and it gets to a point where it's like, how much, right? I think everyone has their limits, and that is something that I want to emphasize. It's okay if you guys forgive Shane Dawson, okay? You guys are allowed to disagree with me at any point. I'm not even about just Shane Dawson, about anything. I mean, I've known this creator, not personally in any way, but like I've had literal physical interactions. Like I've followed his work loosely, not like a super fan or anything, but like I've just had respect for him. So it's like, it's weird to lose respect for someone that you've known of and respected for years and years and years, you know? It's just, for me personally, I feel let down, and I think that I should be allowed, just like you guys should be allowed, to express your reactions to everything that's surfacing from Shane. It's a lot. Look, I'll be the first to say that they were different times. Like, don't get it twisted. But like, I've not seen any other creator that had this many clips about them during that time. As it stands, the video, oh wow, the dislikes actually jumped. I saw it on the day that it came up, and the likes were outdoing the dislikes by loads. When I first saw Shane Dawson's accountability video, there were way more likes than dislikes. Like, dislikes were nothing, right? But then again, I watched it very shortly after it came out. The reason why it was so well received, even by his audience, because I can assure you that had he done it a different way, it would not even be received as well, even by his audience. Now, what am I referring to? I'll get into it in a second. Let's just get into this right now. Now, first, before we start this video, I want to play this.
I feel like we're at a time where we are purging ourselves of anything and everything toxic.
Don't worry, I'm not playing the whole Jenna video. So she says, I feel like we're purging ourselves of everything and anything toxic.
I'm 31, almost 32. Those apologies suck. I don't know who that person is anymore. Every apology video I've ever made has been from fear. It's me sitting at home thinking the whole world hates me, and crying and hyperventilating, and then just turning on a webcam and just saying I'm sorry, and then hoping people know I'm a good person, and then it'll go away. And that is stupid. That is something that a child does, not something that a 31-year-old man does. That's not good. Right now is very much a time of wanting people to be accountable, wanting punishment for people, and I agree. And that's why I'm making this video.
So, straight off the bat, is this plagiarizing? Is this internet plagiarizing? No, it isn't, right? No, it isn't. He cited his source.
I saw Jenna Marbles' video, and it really inspired me. And
so it's not plagiarizing because he literally cited his source. But that was my second point, technically. The first point was him self-deprecating out the ass. This might even be an exaggerated estimate, but out of a 20-minute apology, probably about 14 or so minutes, probably easily like 75% of the video is self-deprecating. And that's not really, I don't really know if that's really, is that really the way to go? Even before I showed you guys this, I forgot how long it took to get to that part where he plagiarized Jenna, but like, damn, that was a lot. We have to listen to a lot of that. You'll hear him say a lot. I don't know who that person is. The video itself has so much self-deprecation. It's similar to the whole pity me. I'm the worst, you know, feel bad for me. Oh my God, this sucks. It's too much for me. I hate that person. I hate that person. This is a different version of the same kind of sentiment that he was carrying over in that note that he posted when he was quitting makeup. You know, he followed it up by saying, I deleted it. It was too much for me. I'm too sensitive for this stuff. Even though he had just said right before that Jeffree Star had made him more confident, you know? No matter what, he wants you to feel bad for him.
This video is coming from a place of just wanting to own up to my shit. Wanting to own up to everything I've done on the internet that has hurt people, that has added to a problem, that has not been handled well. Like, I should have been punished for things. I feel like this moment right now is very necessary.
I find that really interesting when he says, I should have been punished for this. He's like, I got away with it.
I'm going to apologize for a lot of things that I've done or said in this video. And if you don't accept the apology, that is 100% okay. And I think that's something that as I'm getting older now, I'm realizing. It's like, you can apologize, but you can't expect the other person to just forgive you. Like, that's doesn't make any sense.
I will say that is the one part that I completely actually give him props for. I think that if he had shortened up his apology and definitely used that, you know, definitely use that part, like that I wish that part could have stood out from from this entire video, you know, because that is such an important point that I started out this whole live stream with, you know, him saying you don't have to accept an apology when someone gives it to you. That is what he should have stuck with, and less pity me, I was a bad person, I'm not that person, trust me, because all he's literally saying throughout the video is trust me, I'm not that, when all he had to say was, damn, I am embarrassed, I have grown, and I will prove it to you by my future actions. Something along those lines, you know? You don't have to forgive me. And even though I'm asking you to give me time to see my change, you don't even owe me that. You know, something along those lines. Shit, I ought to do a workshop. That was kind of cool. That was kind of good. You just wrote the template. I know I had to take notes for my own self there. But I mean, that's the truth, because I see myself. I mean, I just see myself when people try to put me down over like some things. Like I've said in the last live stream, I said in many live streams, and like I grew up in that similar culture of South Park and like Adam Sandler movies. Like I say this, you know, and I get it, but like to that extent, I'm in shock. Like my cringe level is pretty high, and like my like offended level is also pretty high. But when I see his stuff, I'm like, whoa. Like, how do you get that? You know, and people that want to forgive him say it was how the times were. I'm like, okay, then show me at least two other creators, one other creator that has this mountain of stuff.
So I think this video for me is more about just saying everything I want to say and ways that I want to help be a part of a change and not be a part of a problem. Okay.
So obviously a lot of us have already seen this, and he says that this video is a way that he wants to be a part of the change and not part of the problem, and also get things off of his chest, right? And look, we can be proven wrong, but this is just from my memory from watching it. Do you guys remember him talking about how he's gonna change and not be part of the problem? Because from my recent memory, I only remember him talking about everything he wants to say. So I feel like he forgot to focus on the latter and only focused on the former. Like he only focused on the first part of that.
So I'm going to start with all the racism that I put onto the internet as an adult, not a child. I was at least 20 when I started YouTube, and I made the decision to play stereotypes of black people or Asian people or Mexicans or pretty much every race. I made that decision. I said, oh, this is funny, and I put it on the internet. Now, years later, I look back at that, and I've talked about this before, but when I say I hate that person, I mean it in the most intense way possible.
That's what I have a problem with when he says that. He hated who he was 10 years ago. In a way, him saying that I hate that person almost feels like he's avoiding true responsibility, because he's saying that's not me. That was a shell of a person that I now hate. Like I took off that outfit. I am now a good person. But that's not. Is that truly accepting responsibility? Because that is you. We all saw it. We've all seen who you are or who you were. But it's weird to say that I'm not that. I'm not that, guys. Trust me, guys. I'm a good person now. I go to church. What are you doing? What is the lesson plan? That's what we want to hear. I mean, he said he would cover it, so let's keep watching.
I hate that person so much. That person was filled with sadness, filled with anger about their own issues, in the closet, constantly projecting on others. Just like, I don't know, just that person is someone who I don't like seeing. And I think that's why I've been avoiding this, because I'm like, no, I already apologized. I don't want to go back. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it. Mute it on Twitter. Untag it on my Instagram. Like, I just don't. I hate that person so much.
So how much does he have to say this for the audience to grasp it? We get it, dude. You hate that person. Now, here's the thing. He responded within 24 hours of that tweet that went viral. The one where he was with his ex-girlfriend Lisa and his 12-year-old cousin, you know, and he addresses it in this video. So he responded less than 24 hours within some allegations just beginning to catch a lot of steam. So what I find to be a sort of avoidance of true responsibility is the fact that he's talking to an audience that isn't truly aware of what he's actually apologizing for. You know what I mean? Like, he's got what, 20 million subscribers, and or more than 20 million subscribers, and I can bet money on it that not all those people that watched the video within the first few hours that click like, oh my god, I feel bad for Shane, saw the stuff that he's addressing, because it just started to catch steam. It did. So it's really unfair the way he's portraying this, and that's why I decided to take the liberty to add a little bit of context in this edition.
Okay, so sorry. So first, let's start with blackface.
This is a story all about how my life got twisted upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there.
Blackface was something that I did a lot. Like, I did it a lot on my channel, and there's no excuse for it. There's literally no excuse.
How it should have been edited. Show us what you're apologizing for, because so many of your audiences did not know. And you can't tell me you thought they did. I mean, when I saw that makeup statement, I didn't know at least a fraction of what he was referencing. I had to look up a lot of it, you know? And I am into the freaking YouTube drama world. So to assume that it's highly disappointing.
I made a video 6 years ago talking about it, and I gave excuses, and I knew it was wrong, and I knew I would never wanted to do it again. But I didn't do the work. I didn't actually look into the history of it and why it's so wrong and why people were so upset. Because my excuse, I was just being funny. I love black people. I'm not racist. I was trying to be funny. All of that is stupid and wrong. And I put that onto the internet as an adult. And that is insane. I'm so sorry.
So again, remember the theme. He said he was gonna say everything he has to say and tell us. I feel like I need to write down exactly what he said, because
ways that I want to help be a part of a change and not be a part of a problem.
That's what we gotta keep remembering.
I am so sorry to anybody that saw that and that also saw that people were lifting me up and were saying, you're so funny, Shane. Oh my God, you're so funny. Like, I can't even put myself in that head. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be black and to see this white fucking guy do blackface. And the whole internet at that time being like, LOL, that's insane. And I am so sorry. I don't know how to even fully apologize, because it seems like something that is irredeemable. Or I don't know the right word. It's something that I shouldn't even be able to get out of. I should lose everything for that.
I love it. I love I love the humble brag. I don't know. It feels like he's like bragging, like, yo, I stepped in big doggy poo poo and my shoe came out clean. Like, dude, what? He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm still here. Like, dog, it feels kind of like I made it. Isn't that weird? Like, I shouldn't even be here.
It's something that I shouldn't even be able to get out of. I should lose everything for that.
My 7th favorite bodily fluid! Oh, nigga, bitch, monkey woman, you're the best!
I don't have hate for any race or any people with weight issues.
It just doesn't feel genuine when he's addressing things but not talking directly about him. So he's generalizing things he did to an audience that literally wasn't there and may not have seen it, you know? Like with Jenna, she literally showed the laptop and played several videos. That's why I was like, dude, that is admirable. That is amazing. And this dude is like avoiding everything. Like, it's just him sitting on a couch.
Or any of that special needs. I don't have hate in my heart for anyone. But it doesn't make up for the fact that I made jokes about everyone. And some of the jokes were way too far. And I think this year specifically really changed me as a person. And I started seeing black people who I know, who I'm friends with, who I've known for a long time. I'm seeing them openly talking about on their Instagram or Twitter the years of anger they've had about racist jokes, about blackface, about, microaggressions, everything that they've gone through. And I felt like the biggest piece of shit in the entire world. I felt awful. And the biggest problem with me doing that and posting it on the internet was it made young people at the time who were watching me think it was okay. And that's the craziest part. It's like, I've had people tell me, well, I used to watch your videos when I was a kid, and yeah, I never saw anything wrong with that. And that is scary, because it made me realize, oh my God, I have been a part of such a huge problem, and I have just been avoiding it.
I think that's a good point. I think that is something worthy of addressing. See, there's also the big issue here is that he was literally contributing to normalizing all this kind of comedy. I mean, I literally saw a picture of one of Shane Dawson's fans, like a young girl, meeting him, and they're hugging and they're smiling, and her shirt says, "Shane Dawson sexually harassed me," or something like that, and they're smiling. Obviously it's a joke, but like, you can't, like, it's so weird to have it on your resume. Like, I get it, people say that's the time, the humor, but I'm having a really hard time imagining that that's something I would want a fan to joke about with me. And I don't know, there's been a lot of sketchy things going on, and I've seen a lot of really, really sketchy things that he said to young fans, and it's confusing to me. It's really, really conflicting. Like, what the hell?
So I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I added to the normalization of blackface or the normalization of saying the N-word. That's another thing. I mean, and my justification at the time for that was, oh, well, it was, I was playing a character and it was in comedy and my black friend was there and, that makes it okay. No, it's not okay. And it's not a funny word, especially for a white person to say. Me as a white person wearing a wig and playing a character and doing stereotypes and then saying the N-word is something that I should have probably lost my career for at the time.
At the time, I should have probably lost my career for at the time, guys. Not. Okay, let me live. I'm YouTube. I want to stick around. I should have probably lost my career for everything I was doing back then, but not anymore. I'm not doing that no more. Okay, you sketch that. It's kind of cute.
And there's no amount of apologizing that can take it away, and take away the impact it had, and take away the amount of people that have been hurt by that, or have felt like I was just another white guy who can get away with everything. When I really looked into the history of blackface, I looked into it years ago, and it obviously disgusted me, made me sick, I felt awful. But even at that time, I still was being ignorant, and I was saying in my head, well, but I didn't do that. I was playing Wendy Williams, or I was playing a character. That justification, that is wrong.
Oh my, Audrina, why were you just walking like a black person? Oh my God. She's gonna steal everything from Old Navy and wear it like it's cute.
Like, he's still making up excuses. It's so weird that he said he felt bad that his old apology videos had excuses, and he's doing the same thing again. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, I've watched so many videos on the history of blackface and how it was created to make fun of black people, to make them feel less than. And the fact that I, in some way, was a part of that, like the fact that the word blackface now will forever be attached to me, that's the level at which I have been lately. Just feeling very awful about myself, about what I did, about the jokes I've made, about the videos I've made. I'm wanting to disassociate from that person, but I can't.
Yo, man, we got a hot one right here. Aw, thanks, boo. Not you, bitch. I got a hot pocket. It's bomb as hell. Woo!
Now, there was one person who really tried to get through to me for a long time, and her name is Chesca Leigh. And probably 7 years ago, she's a YouTuber, and she tweeted me, and we got into fights back and forth, and my audience at the time was saying racist things to her, and it was so toxic, and I'm so sorry, and it's so gross.
So right now he's talking about the creator, Chesca Leigh, and as you can see, he even put her in here. And what I think is interesting is because she made not too much of a direct response but she did kind of address it on her Twitter. So I want to go over that because she wasn't particularly happy of being added, And this tweet is from just yesterday. She tweeted, "This was in 2014, the first apology for blackface. Now this new apology video has my whole last name and Twitter handle on it, but yes, accountability." So as you can see, in 2014, he said, "Hey, I saw your tweet about leaving your name out after I uploaded. Sorry about that. Wasn't trying to start shit." And she said, "Personally, I think you should have known better. You see how your fans respond when you tweet me? Doesn't ring truthful to me. So she's not happy about having her name in his video for the second time. So it's kind of like, dude, come on, man. Like, what? How do you mess up twice? Like, especially if you're gonna put her name in it. Was there a direct attempt to reach out to her? I mean, she tweeted that she had a bunch of DMs from people everywhere, you know. So like, it's unwanted attention. Obviously, she's expressing it right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he did not reach out to her. Otherwise, this wouldn't happen, you know. These are some of the older tweets he had. As you can see, he said, "Yikes! Didn't want this to become an attack. Either way, nice to tweet you and meet you. Sounds good. I promise not to touch your hair. Any chance you get to be rude at me on Twitter, you take. You say others, quote unquote, hate. You are the epitome of a hater. Step off. If I wanted my fans to swarm me, I would have put a period in front of it like you did. Hypocrite. Okay, deleting my tweets so you don't get hate. Just wanted you to see them." And then a year later, he properly apologizes. "I'm sorry for snapping at you. I was upset because I know you and the others are right. I'm feeling terrible. I hope you watch my video, even though I don't deserve for you to. I'm sorry for everything."
And probably 7 years ago, she's a YouTuber, and she tweeted me, and we got into fights back and forth, and my audience at the time was saying racist things to her, and it was so toxic, and I'm so sorry, and it's so gross, and there's no amount of apologizing for it. And I think I was taking everything as an attack, which is so stupid. Like, looking back, that is stupid. I was taking it as an attack. Like, I'm not racist, leave me alone, I'm not racist. And, you know, it's like, okay, but look what you're making, Shane. Like, that, I don't know how I didn't see that. That is scary, and I'm sorry. But one of my biggest problems was thinking that criticism is being attacked. Oh, somebody's telling me that I did something wrong, I'm gonna go on the defensive. And that's not a good way to live, and it's not a good way to grow and change and actually help people. So speaking of Francesca, there is something on Twitter right now that people are sharing, and I got a text about it today, and my heart completely broke. And it was from my podcast from 5 years ago. Now, in the clip, I am talking about, the segment was about murder fantasies. Like, oh, is there somebody that you really hate or you're mad at? And, you know, have you ever fantasized about murdering them? And how would you do it? Stupid, gross, awful, something I would never talk about now.
Now, of course, again, this would be the part of the video where he would have greatly, if he was being honest, he would have put a clip of the podcast. So why didn't he? Why didn't he put the clip of the podcast? And let's pay attention to what he's apologizing for, because a lot of these people do not have context. They do not have the context of what he's talking about. This is about a dream he had about someone that called him out for being racist, as he says.
Okay, so yeah, so the teeth are in the eyes, right? So
who is this person? Do we know? You don't want to say?
I can't really say because she's actually mentally ill, and like this would really throw her off the edge.
Oh,
and
well,
like,
now you know who it is.
And
Whoever
like,
you are watching,
and you know, like woman abuse.
Whatever.
So. But what I would do, because her whole thing is she like always would tell people that I'm a bad person, that I'm racist, that I'm this, that I'm that.
Oh.
So what I would do is I would have, you know, a knife to her throat, and I would make her say the most fucked up, awful, racist, sexist, whatever shit, homophobic shit. Yeah, I would make her say that shit and be like, if you don't say it, I'm going to slice your neck. And then she'd say it, and then I'd rip her tongue out and be like, that's the last thing you ever said.
That's good.
That's some dark ass shit.
Good shit, though.
That's some dark ass shit.
That's some
and be
good
like,
shit.
you just left this planet with some hate, bitch.
Yeah.
And then so I took her, you know, tongue out. She can't say anything.
Yeah.
Right? So then that's when I put my whole hand in her jaw, in her mouth.
From
backwards. And I just start
like
wiggling. And then I just start breaking.
Sorry, by the way. I am sorry. I really should have given a little warning because, again, I love scary movies. I love raunchy stuff. I do love comedy that is out there, but none of this is, like, at first you're like, oh, whoa, okay, he's getting edgy, but he keeps going. We have a minute left, and he keeps going, so please be advised that this gets really, really intense. Like, dude, this is the empath that is redeeming people, and he's got this inside of him. Okay, now that you got your warning, I apologize for not giving it earlier.
From backwards.
And then I just start wiggling. And then I just start breaking. But I don't want to rip it off because I don't want her to die yet.
Just like massive TMJ.
I just want,
like
you know, like that
noise.
Like cracky.
Yeah.
And then I just wiggle, and then that final crack. So now it's just swinging open.
Oh,
and
just gaping.
Just gaping.
Ready to be blasted in.
Ready to be busted. So then I would lay her down on a couch. A very uncomfortable IKEA. Something very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
hard
futon.
surface. Futon.
Not good.
Bed bugs. I would just make it
day.
real gross. Then I was thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, I guess I would rip off every single fingernail,
Like
like
pliers.
one by one. No, with my fingers.
Ooh,
Like
you must have some like
rip. Like keep going. Use my teeth. Like it's a beer bottle. And then like after I've gotten all the fingernails off,
Oof.
I would start chewing on them. I would start chewing on, because you know when your fingernail comes off after you like slam it in a door and you touch that skin, it's so tender.
Oh, I'm a nail biter girl.
Oh,
These are pressed
so
on this morning,
tender.
please.
Now imagine that tender finger with my fucking big teeth chomping on them.
Ouch. That's a lot of nerve endings right
All right, so that's that. Okay, it's over. Congratulations, you survived. I know somebody was like, oh, I'm out. This is too much. And I apologize. I do apologize. I always recommend you guys, if you can't handle it, you gotta tab out, mute, come back in a minute if you have to. No shame in that, all right? Or if it's too much, that's okay too. So again, that's what he's referring to. He's not showing the clip or playing it for you guys, but I think it's a little dishonest almost to apologize for something that you're not really aware of what is being apologized for, you know?
Anyways, so in the segment, I started talking about, figuratively murdering someone. And it was insane and gross. Now, she believes, and a lot of people believe, that I was talking about her. And I can say, if I had a Bible, I would put my hand on it. I can say, without a doubt, hand on a Bible, that was not about Chesca Leigh. That was about another woman. Not that it makes it okay, because it doesn't. Talking.
Sorry. See, now that's a little weird. That's awkward, funny. Like, it wasn't about her. It was about another woman. This podcast is going out to at least hundreds of thousands of people. But yeah, this was on 2016, June in 2016, this podcast.
Anybody like that is crazy, especially a woman. But it was about a white woman. And the ironic part is that woman was just trying to get through to me too. Like, she was just trying to explain to me why what I was making on the internet was hurting people. It was at a time when I was making a movie and I was constantly on the defensive. I felt attacked all the time, which is stupid. I shouldn't have felt like that. And it got so bad that, I don't know, it almost made me want to make the jokes crazier. To make everything crazier, almost like as a, screw you, I'm just gonna make it crazier. And that's one reason it's hard for me to watch that movie, because I would never make a movie like that now. Ever in my whole life. There were so many offensive jokes in it that were so cheap and shitty and stupid. And there was a woman involved who was constantly giving me criticism and telling me that I needed to stop making so many offensive jokes. And the reason I was so upset.
There's no right way to own up and apologize for mistakes that people don't want to accept. You're picking it apart and interpreting it negative because you only expect one specific way and no other. I don't think it's fair. First of all, thank you for the 21 euros, even though you disagree with what I'm doing here. This isn't about picking it apart. I mean, I guess it technically is. I'm not trying to put a facade onto that, but it's more so about like properly own up. You don't have to talk about how hard your life is and how you're not that person, because that doesn't show true growth. There is a right way to own up. You just own up, apologize, grow, and be better. Jenna did, and again, I'm going ahead and putting in the context to show you why it's hard for me to accept the apology, because I think what you might be misunderstanding is that we are not forced to accept people's apologies upon when they're given to you. If someone hurts you, they're not required to accept your apology. He only uploaded this yesterday, right? Or was it 2 days ago? I don't know. This is really fresh. And for someone that literally respected this dude for years, that I've been on this platform, I've given him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that it will come off like I'm picking it apart of points. So I do apologize if it doesn't sit well with you, okay? That's just straight up. It's just that, like, I feel like he just could have made this not be 20 minutes and could have, like, cut it halfway. You gotta at least agree with me on that one. Come on. But come on, agree at least on that one. He could have cut this 20-minute apology to, like, 10 minutes, 11. Like, if he was gonna make a 20-minute like video, I would have expected for him to at least put a couple clips that he's referring to. Imagine hearing and thinking or knowing it was based on what he dreamt about doing to you. That is terrifying. And airing it to like hundreds of thousands of people, right?
And the reason I was so upset wasn't just because of that. There's so many other reasons. I mean, this person really tried to, I don't know, there was a lot. They tried to ruin my relationship. It was a lot. I had a lot of anger for this person. That anger is gone, by the way. It's all gone. And I'm so sorry to her. And I'm sorry to Chesca. And I should have never talked about anybody like that ever. And that's the other thing. The podcast, I mean, there's so many clips that people are bringing up. So
I guess he's justifying him sharing the details of that very vivid torture porn type of dream because he had bad blood for that woman, but now he doesn't. but he's sorry anyway. Okay. All right. The issue is not that you had that dream, because look, we can't control our dreams, okay? People have some weird dreams, but like to share it in the audience, dude, like he showed a glimpse of acknowledging the issue earlier on, that he was normalizing this to his teen audience. And now he's letting go of that. His goals, his objective, I think objectives are very clear to say. Objectives are very clear. Holy shit, my voice is literally fading. My voice. I think it's clear to keep in mind objectives, okay, guys? In the beginning of the video, he said his objective was to say everything he wants to say. Okay, get it off his chest. Okay, understandable, of course. It's his apology. In ways he wants to help be a part of the change and not be a part of the problem. What happened to the last two goals? Why are we only getting the first goal? Let's keep going.
So there's a clip that has been going around again. A few years ago is when it came out. And they cut out all the parts where I said, pedophilia is disgusting. And they put it together and it made it seem like I was, talking about how it's normal. So gross. I would never say that. But also, I shouldn't have been joking about it anyways, which is my problem, my fault. So I'm sorry if you heard that. There's also other ones too. And that's something I have addressed before, but my childhood, my past, I've had a lot of pain. I've had a lot of bad things happen to me. I've had a lot of issues with my family. And I took that pain and I turned it into jokes. And I think instead of joking about them so much, I probably should have just went to therapy earlier and talked about them. I swear.
That doesn't sit well with me. See, like now I feel bad because someone thinks I'm nitpicking it, but like he's saying I should have gone to therapy. I should have did this. No, like that's, and is that what he means by saying like he wants to be part of a change, not the problem? Like telling people if they make jokes like that, they should go to therapy? Or
sorry if you heard that. And that's the other thing. The podcast, there's so many clips that people are bringing up. So there's a clip that has been going around again. A few years ago is when it came out. And they cut out all the parts where I said, pedophilia is disgusting.
Oh, he's talking about that one like child and where they pop blast thing. But he's also saying that he made the joke because of how he grew up.
And I took that pain and I turned it into jokes. And I think instead of joking about them so much, I probably should have just went to therapy earlier and talked about them. I swear on my life.
Okay, so first things first, I think I think I'm not alone here when I say that my childhood was not the cleanest. I think a lot of us don't have a clean childhood. I think a lot of us have gone through abuse, okay? And see, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to turn into a pity me thing. I shouldn't have to say that because I don't know how that would even contribute to sexualizing children, because that's what he said right before.
Life. I am not somebody who would ever talk about a child, like in seriousness. I would never talk about a child in any way that was inappropriate. That is disgusting. That is gross. It is not something I would ever do. It is something I did for shock value or because I thought it was funny or like, oh my God, my child molester character or whatever. It's all gross. And I promise that is not real. That is not me.
So he used humor, comedy to cope with what he went through. See, here's the thing about justifying things. The issue when you start to justify things is that you have to make sure it's soundproof. Otherwise, it's confusing and expects the audience to fill in the blank. So now, either we feel bad and we believe him, or we're in this predicament of either, dog, that don't make no sense, or, yo, what do you mean that don't make no sense? You're very insensitive. You know what I mean? It's this weird dilemma. Like this doesn't feel fair, really. You know what I mean? Like, why get into this? Because he says it almost as if it's a common thing. And I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of the symptoms he's saying are truly common. Meldon Noodle says, think about what you're saying. Think about what you're doing. This all can turn around and bite you in the ass. You're jumping on a fresh topic. This is a hot new tea. People will think you're doing it for money. But if people are saying that I think I'm doing it for money, then they're misconstruing me on purpose, because already for the third or fourth time, I've emphasized that I'm talking about this because this is something that has affected me. I I had a lot of respect for Shane Dawson. And if somebody wants to twist that against me and has an issue with me, like what I'm saying, then they're just being malicious. I don't know how else to say it. Like, can we not have a conversation anymore? Should I be that scared off the internet? Should I be so intimidated off the internet that they might twist things about me that I can't be here anymore? Because that's you know, and I'm not shaming you, by the way, the person that said that, to the amount that people are trying to use like every word against me nowadays. You know, I don't like that. I hate that it's all become an intimidation game. The problem is Shane is talking about the things he should have done. He can't change what he did. He needs to talk about how he could change. Exactly. And that's the thing. Because again, his own objective was to say everything he wants to say and ways he wants to help be part of the change and not part of the problem. So he made an objective to say that he wanted to talk about change, you know? Don't fight with the chat. I don't think there's a fight. What? You guys don't, please. I'm sorry, guys. Look, I really am sorry. I know that I'm being like serious today. I'm not making that many jokes, but like we're just having a conversation, and like I am sorry. Like I maybe I'll try to make some more jokes here and there, but like it's just like it is upsetting to me because again, this is somebody that I respected, you know? Like, God forbid Korn. I mean, that would make me lose so much respect, dude. If Korn got called out for doing something really shady, I would be really upset. Obviously, I've known Korn, like they've been my faves, you know, for the longest time. But like, you know, it's just something like you have respect for someone. They disappoint you. You show a true concern, and I know a lot of people have like pseudo concern. That's different, and that's the difference. What I'm talking about is concern versus pseudo concern. People that will hop on it. No apology would have been good enough. Let's be honest. Everyone gets off on tearing people down. Well, that's the thing though. Like, I don't think it was like, I think that personally, I don't think an apology would have been good enough within 24 hours of him getting called out. I agree with that notion. I think it was way too soon. I disagree with the rest of it though. I think people need to take time when, you know, to really respond properly, especially when with such a gravity of things that are being brought up. You know, that's my opinion.
Girl, why you so wet? You know what you should do to dry yourself off? Go dance on top of that table over there. She didn't even hesitate. Okay! Get that dubstep dance. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, we don't want to...
more hip action.
Yeah, we don't want to have sex with you yet. Yeah, there we go.
Hip action. Yeah.
Y'all did hear that, right?
Have I done sketches where kids were saying crazy things? Yes. Do I regret it? Yes. Even I saw a vlog clip of me and my cousin who was, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 at the time. And we were, you know, I was doing the birds and the bees talk. Dumb, gross shit. And I remember a few years ago, I reached out to her mom, my aunt, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Like, this is insane. I can't believe I talked to, you know, my cousin like that. And, you know, she was like, oh my God, we know. It's okay. It was funny. Like, we all thought it was funny. Like, that's just how our family is. So I kind of took that as like, okay, well, then I don't need to apologize for it. But I do, because I posted it on the internet for everyone. Not just my family. I posted like a stupid, weird family moment for everyone. I'm so sorry that I just was so thoughtless with things I was posting for so many years.
Okay, now notice he's saying he's posting a family moment. This is a family moment? Okay, all right. I mean, I guess it's a good family moment. All right.
I don't know. I just wasn't.
But he's not showing. You see, like the reason why I'm showing it is because he's not presenting it to his audience in an honest way. He's saying, guys, I showed a family moment, but he's not showing what it is. Therefore, his audience that may not be seeking it out or refuse to see it doesn't know what it actually is.
I wasn't thinking. I thought, oh, I'm in a weird category where I can say whatever I want. And I did. And now it's the biggest regret of my entire life.
You should be in love and you should preferably be married and hopefully not have any kids.
Okay.
And you should definitely be over the age of like 24, 25.
And he should put a ring on it.
And he should put a
ring on it.
dick ring on it. No, I'm kidding. No, you don't know what that is. You shouldn't know what that is.
Okay.
Now, are you on your period right now?
What?
I'm trying to get answers.
No. How old are you? I'm not gonna give you anything. So close.
How old are you?
I'm 12.
She's on her period,
feels very.
right?
No, what?
Are you? No, you're not on your period? You bleed.
No.
Now listen, you have a boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Now, what did I tell you? When he says, can I put it in, you say,
No.
good. High five, girlfriend. Now, when he says, what about just in your mouth? You say,
No.
no.
You say I bite.
God, I can't say any of these inside jokes because I don't get in trouble. See, here's my problem.
You're not funny in the slightest.
All of the things I want to say, I'm like, fuck, people are watching.
You're gonna have to. All right, put this in.
I rely on shit talking. That's my jokes. and N-words, and I can't use any of those right now.
Nastiest cum face thing ever.
Almost as nasty as the black girl's hair on the back of the box.
It's overwhelming, okay? It's overwhelming. And look, I'm sorry. Look, I know that there are some Shane Dawson fans who accept the apology. Again, you are allowed to accept the apology. And at the same time, if this is not content, if you don't want to see why I don't accept the apology, at least not at this time and moment in time, then I don't know. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm expressing like why my opinions. You know, this is not your typical live stream. Okay, this is somebody expressing context that was not provided.
Now, even though my apologies in the past for all of these things have not been good enough, they've not been thought out, they've been not good at all, I do want to say, since I've apologized for those things in the past, I have made a lot of changes in my life. Changes in just every facet of me has changed. I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying, oh, I'm going to stop doing that, guys. I did stop doing that. I stopped doing that stuff years ago. I don't use any racial slurs in my life. I've never used a racial slur in anger, ever in my life. That is not me. That has never been me. I am not a hateful person. I am somebody who took jokes too far and was really, really, really stupid and inappropriate. So all of those apologies, if you accept them, thank you. If you don't, I 100% understand, because there was a lot. And a lot of that is stuff that you probably will never forgive me for. And maybe you didn't know about all those old videos. I 100% understand.
Some of you guys may have seen a certain tweet that was exposed from Shane Dawson that he's now deleted. He actually just deleted it, I believe, yesterday or the day before, because I actually saw it myself. So this tweet reads, "Daily vlogging is my new favorite thing. I just got my 12-year-old cousin to give a BJ to a cocktail weenie. Hashtag this is the life." So on Twitter, he went on to gloat about how he's basically doing his favorite thing, vlogging. This is censored, but you can basically tell between the lines.
And Lucy, I checked my statistics, and I have a lot of child molesters watching. So can you please eat a cocktail weenie?
Lucy, I checked my statistics.
Do it slow. Oh.
Oh, I like that chocolate, that weenie. Ooh, it tastes so good.
Do like an Asian, like.
At this point, realizing how many people I've hurt or how many people I've inspired to say awful things or do anything awful, like to finally just own up to all of this and be accountable is worth losing everything to me. And I am not saying that as like a lie or for sympathy. I'm being honest. I want to spend the rest of my life doing things that I love with my heart, that I'm excited about, and things that aren't hurting anyone, aren't offending anyone, and I want to learn more. And I don't want to be someone who's afraid of my past. So thank you for hearing me out on all of those issues. I promise I'm going to do better to even more so educate myself, put more people on my channel that aren't just white YouTubers in trouble. Like,
are you kidding me? Finally, I'm gonna get the receipt because I've been telling him to do this.
Like that, I'm totally aware of how that looks. Somebody pointed that out to me a couple years ago, and I got really defensive over it. And now,
What? Was that me? Wait, don't tell me that was me.
the more I'm helping people, the worse I'm getting.
I want to make the documentary. I want to be behind the camera asking those tough questions. What it's like to be the king of YouTube, but still be depressed despite helping other white people.
Did you say white people?
Yeah, white people. He's made videos on Jake Paul, Jeffree Star, Tana Mango, Graveyard Girl, Kathy Griffin, Bobby, Molly, Trisha, Sophie. Videos taking care of a child, a white child, then a baby, a white baby. Don't you want to be a woke gay couple?
He has the prettiest blue eyes.
Oh my God, good, thank God.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent back there. Sorry about that. Look, all I'm saying is that that'd be funny if he was referring to me. But also to add on to that narrative, to the people that think I'm just tagging along, you can see in that video, like, my feelings towards Shane Dawson were very favorable, you know? I was like, dog, like, oh man, how's it feel to be a king of YouTube? Like, I was still favorable towards Shane Dawson. So if that doesn't show why the turnaround affects me, then I don't know how else to show you. I mean, I I liked his documentaries up until that time. That was 2018, you know. Then he started going into Jeffree Star, and we won't talk about that. It's when I was still transitioning into what I am now, you know. I was a lot more goofier. Like 2017 and before, I was straight up comedy. I was just like a jokester, you know, like edgy, kind of like, not edgy, but I was like raunchy jokes, raunchy humor, stupid jokes, whatever, annoying. I was so annoying. you know, and I've evolved. Like, you don't see me be that goofy. Like, I mean, I'm still goofy in my videos, but I kind of tone it down for sure. Will you talk to Shane if you wanted to join? Of course. I don't think it should be a public thing though. I don't think it should be a public spectacle. I think it should be a very private thing. And that's the thing. Like, I'm totally down for being confidential, you know? Look, Shane Dawson, like, if Shane Dawson, on the off chance that this is assuming that he values my opinion, and now I have to like make it for real, because in my opinion, look, first we got to focus less on the past and our mistakes, okay? I mean, not focus on the mistakes, but focus on how we can, focus on your own objective, Shane Dawson. You said in the beginning, he said he wants to get everything he wants to say off his chest, and then that he also wants to help be a part of the change, not part of the problem. But those two last objectives are not being portrayed in this video. So what I would say to Shane Dawson would be like, let's sit down, not just you and me. Like, sure, have a conversation with me, but I'm no Shane Dawson, right? All I would do would be try to connect you. I would try to connect him to have private conversations with many people that are genuinely affected in private, and then definitely take a break, dude.
And I don't want to be someone who's afraid of my past. So thank you for hearing me out on all of.
You don't want to be afraid of your past, but that's what you spent the entire video saying you are. You spent the entire video saying that you are not that person, that you hate that person, bro. How can you say these things that are so paradoxical? This is what's frustrating. This is what's like, dude, and I know he took notes. Obviously, he almost plagiarized Jenna's video, at least some of it. And I know he watched drama channels. He says it at some point in this video, but you're not proofreading or what? Because you're saying two things here, homie. I want you to succeed.
I'm totally aware of how that looks. Somebody pointed that out to me a couple years ago, and I got really defensive over it. And now I'm looking back going, no, they're right. They're right. If you look at my channel, it's a bunch of white people and talking about their problems. And I love a lot of those videos, and I'm so proud of those videos, but you're right. I need to open up what I'm doing for everyone. So last week I went on Twitter, and it had been about 2 weeks of me getting people constantly saying, address it, talking about the James and Tati situation. I was just gonna ignore it, and then when I started hearing, oh, Shane masterminded the whole thing, it didn't sit well with me because it's not true. So when I finally addressed it, I wrote this Twitter note, which was such a mistake. I wrote it I had a restock for the conspiracy collection, and I woke up and I felt really weird. Like, we had been pushing the restock for so long that we finally had to do it. And when I woke up and it was out, I just felt so weird. I felt so guilty. I didn't want to I couldn't enjoy it. I didn't want to enjoy this restock when there's something that I haven't addressed that people are really, really upset at me for it. So I sat down and I wrote that essay, which I wrote it to be funny. It didn't come across that way. It came across very angry.
He meant to be funny? Are you serious? That statement meant to be funny?
Which it was, but it was also supposed to be funny. It just was a huge miss in every single way.
Wait, so he's saying it came off angry, even though I meant to be funny, which it was angry. So he's doing the double speak again, bro. Why? Why don't you just, there's obvious cuts and edits. Just edit it out, dude. You don't have to justify every single thing you say. Edit it out. Edit it out. Yeah, and it was supposed to be funny. How inconsiderate is it that it's supposed to be funny? Because, dude, I already, like, the last live stream, I already went over that whole statement and how it's not funny, you know? So I'm not going to try to do that again. Let's just...
That I regret more than anything in my life was the part where I said that James deserved a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building. I only want to talk about this situation with love because I feel like that note had so much anger in it. It was just not good. And so I'm going to come at this situation by first apologizing.
Also, how can you say that it was supposed to be funny when you're saying that you felt it had anger in it? Again, you're saying two things. You're admitting now that you felt anger when you said those things about James.
I'm sorry, James. I'm really sorry. First of all, nobody deserves what happened. Nobody. The whole internet ganging up on someone. Nobody deserved that. And who am I?
Nobody deserves the whole internet ganging up on him. Here's what might be a hot take. If you are indeed a predator, as James Charles was accused of being, maybe he does deserve the hate he got. So why is he convoluting the message here? He doesn't deserve the hate he got. Yet he's supporting his family who strongly stands by James Charles being a predator. Why are we getting mixed messages? So does he only feel bad that he got hate, or does he feel bad that the accusation got out, or what is it? Because again, he is protecting his family. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Am I crazy? Am I reaching here? He regrets the humble pie more than Willow Smith stuff. I'm surprised we haven't gotten an apology for the Smiths yet, because he did them wrong too, and he didn't assume that would affect them. But imagine someone pretends to jack off to your own daughter or your little sister. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, guys, I can't believe this video. I swear this video sounded like it was gonna end like 5 times. People keep asking what Shane could do to redeem himself. Why are we always obligated to provide an out for racists and guide them down the path? Maybe he just doesn't deserve to be forgiven. Damn. I appreciate that perspective, because I do agree. Like, people act like, well, what's supposed to do? Well, we're not the ones that did what Shane did, so it's not really our problem to get the solution out of. Of course, I tried to help. I tried to like think of, like, of course, I understand asking me, because, you know, obviously I'm going by the issues with this response. So I understand asking me. Okay, I get it. But for the most part, when people ask other people on Twitter and stuff, I think it's a different story. I don't think people should be in that position to be questioned that when they're not the ones that did what he did.
To say that somebody needs to be humbled. Me. Like, who am I to say that? I literally have put so much hate onto the internet over my last 15 years of YouTube world. Like, I have put so much shit, and I'm sitting here like, well, because I changed and because I'm nice and this and that, like, yeah, you need to be humbled. It's like, that sucks. I hate that.
Again, he literally said this last week. He said this last week. So does he hate everything? Like, does he hate himself an hour ago? What are we? Shane, bro, stop being so hateful. Stop hating yourself. Work on yourself. Get therapy until you don't hate yourself any longer, because that's the only image that I've gotten throughout this entire video, bro. You hate yourself. Do you hate yourself? If you hate yourself, work on that before putting your face online again. It's not healthy. Earlier in this video, you said you would project your hate onto others. That is exactly what you portrayed in this little note in which you quit the makeup industry, that in this video, you also admit you were never a part of. So what is going on here? It's okay to get help, but you've gotten to the point where you have so much damn influence, dude.
That was so immature and gross, and I'm so sorry. And I know a lot of people were saying that, well, why did you say you're leaving the beauty community? You were never in it. And you're right. I don't know why I said that. That was stupid. I was never in the beauty world, because a lot of the beauty people that I watch, and I'm not just saying that, I think a lot of people think I'm lying when I say I really love the makeup world and I'm really invested in it. I'm not lying. For the last year, I've been watching beauty channels every day. My whole homepage is just beauty channels, and it's smaller ones. So to know that I hurt those people who aren't problematic and who just love makeup and who have been working their ass off for years, for me to shit on that, I am so sorry. Also, I'm aware of how hypocritical it is for me to say I'm above this tea and drama channels and drama, and I'm not like that, and that is so stupid. It's so dumb. At that moment, I was so upset with certain things. It was just me being upset. And it is hypocritical. I mean, I watch drama videos, but when it's about me, oh, now it's a problem. Like, and I'm aware of how hypocritical that is, and I'm so sorry.
So again, I want to remind you the objectives. The reason why I keep reminding you guys is because I'm not hearing it. His objectives of this video were to say everything he wants to say, ways he wants to help be part of a change, and not part of a problem. Why are we still only hearing the first objective and not the other two?
I'm aware that I hold my friends or people I care about to a lower standard than I hold other people. That's wrong, and I'm so sorry.
Wow. Well, that's a big one to admit. Well, he's saying it's wrong. He's saying it's wrong, and he's sorry. So that's good. In a way, we all do that subconsciously. Yeah, of course. Nicholas, you have a good point. Yeah, of course, we all hold. Wait, no. But the way he's saying it is different. I hold my friends and family to a different standard. I think it's weird to say to a lower standard. For example, say you find out that I said, I wish somebody got a rubber bullet to their forehead or whatever, right? Jeffree Star said this about the owner of Dollskill. Dollskill, very controversial. Does she deserve a bullet to her forehead, a rubber bullet through her forehead, like he said? Why we give him so many passes? You know, like what Shane is doing is like, yeah, I'm wrong for giving him passes, but I'm not gonna stop. Like, there's limits that he's saying that his are very blurred and gray, and he doesn't really, like, he's saying sorry though, but that's the awkward part. Let's finish.
I almost feel like I am attracted to other broken people who have issues, and I want to help them, I want to fix them, or I want to help people see a better side of them. And I'm aware that I'm friends with some people that, you know, have done some bad things on the internet.
God complex.
And I don't condone it, and I don't co-sign it. And that is something that I've always addressed with them privately. I'm ready to own up to this stuff, and I'm ready to hopefully show you guys that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to be upset at your past self for making mistakes, but also it's okay if people don't want to accept your apology, or if people
Wait, so what about the friends? Why is he keeping them around then? What?
lower standard than I hold other people. That's wrong, and I'm so sorry.
So it's wrong, and he's sorry that he holds his friends to a lower standard, and he's sorry. So he doesn't, he understands that it's wrong, so that means he's dropping them, right?
I think I get attached to people who have a heart, and maybe it's covered in a lot of stuff, and maybe they have a lot of issues, but I almost feel like I am attracted to other broken people.
He gets attracted to people that have a heart and it's covered by other stuff. Homie, we all have a heart. We need a heart to function.
And I don't condone it, and I don't co-sign it.
But you said you're aware that it's wrong, and you're sorry. So why bring it up? You're not presenting us with a goal, man.
To own up to this stuff, and I'm ready to hopefully show you guys that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to be upset at your past self for making mistakes. I hope you learned a lot of lessons from everything that I have done, put out into the world, mistakes I've made. I hope that you can see that and know that it's never too late to address it and to change.
Do you guys remember what Shane Dawson said he would do next time he got canceled? Last time he got canceled? Which last time he got canceled was because of the whole cat thing, if you guys remember.
I mean, this is a guy that anytime he pops up in the news, his past gets thrown in his face, and he has to say, I apologize then, I apologize now.
I've apologized for all of that stuff 1,000 times. Now I have to apologize for not fucking my cat, but saying I did, right? It literally is all old ass stale tea. I'm not gonna stress out anymore. I'm not gonna let it ruin my life anymore. I'm not gonna let the drama ruin my life. I need to start using it to my advantage. I've never done that. I always apologize because I literally have to, because I feel sick to my stomach and I don't want people to think I'm some piece of shit. And I'm like, no, whatever. So now I'm like, all right, how do we use this to our advantage? I'm making a pact right now. The next time one of these things happens, I'm literally gonna lean into it, and I'm gonna tweet something like, oh, so I was trending, here's my fucking palette link, bitch. Or something like that. When I see myself trending, I'm gonna consider it promotion.
Yeah, you're Kylie.
I'm Kylie, bitch.
He actually... Someone in the chat just said he actually did. He actually did do that next time he was trending. He promoted his palette. Dude, are you serious? Someone in the chat just said he stuck to his word. He promoted his palette and then he made his apology. Bro, are you serious? Bro, I'm sinking into my chair. I can't. Are you serious? Is this a revelation we just had live streaming? You guys are in... Are you serious? Thought we all knew this? Okay, don't shame me, okay? I'm a little late to the game. I'm telling you, it's a lot to keep up with. There's a lot. There's a lot. Hey, half the chat is with me here. Half the chat didn't realize it either. Oh, someone said that I thought the point of view was to show that. Yeah, of course. Actually, that was the point. Oh, no, yeah, that was, I showed you guys to prove that. Of course, yeah, claro que sí. Yeah, of course. I gotta pee. Lisa, Shane's then girlfriend, apologized. She says, I want to address the 10-year-old clip from Shane's channel of myself and Shane talking to his cousin. It was absolutely inappropriate and not funny. Watching it back now, it makes my skin crawl, and I am so sorry that I was a part of this bit, quote unquote. Before I came here to say this, I thought it was more important to reach out to Shane's cousin in the video and her mom to apologize in real life. Good. That's good. After all, they are the ones most affected, yes. They were both gracious and welcoming. They accepted my apology and reassured me that they both remembered that moment was indeed a planned and consensual joke, albeit terrible. I have grown over these past 10 years as a creator and a woman, aiming to bring content that inspires and brightens an often bleak world. I promise to always do better and be better. Damn, I mean, that's pretty clean. I think that's pretty clean, right?
Does anybody ever talk like that, though? Like,
course
look,
not.
Great response, but like, who goes? Yeah, I try to like be the shining, glimmering light in this bleak modern society. It's I don't ever take those. It's so hard to make a good apology. It's impossible to make an apology that pleases everybody. Not just like in a I'll accept that kind of situation, but like somebody's always going to nitpick it, and I feel like that's just the internet right now.
Yeah, it starts out with Jaden Smith being really mad at 1 p.m. and then it goes to him saying, "I'm screaming at the top of my lungs." 3 minutes later, so he's still very mad. An hour later, he finally comes through. He says, "Shane Dawson, I am disgusted by you. You sexualizing an 11-year-old girl who happens to be my sister is the furthest thing from funny and not okay in the slightest." 1 million likes. Okay, this is weird. Someone even linked it here, but...
Yeah, he's screwed.
This man was also doing blackface on the regular. As the youth, we need to support creators who support us and our morals. This is not okay. And then...
Somebody told me something really funny about that. They go like, everybody likes to pretend that it wasn't a different time like 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. And that's okay. Like, we know that it was a different time. But I can't name a fucking time when it was okay to do blackface.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't name one time, bro.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like for real. I'm out here getting canceled by association, okay? And like, I understand that I grew up with Adam Sandler's movie. I love South Park. I love like the Matt Stone. I was just watching this movie called Orgasmo on Netflix by Matt Stone and Trey Parker. But it was kind of funny. I like their sense of humor, depicting humor where it stands the test of time. Yeah, there was never an okay time to do it. Someone says there was just a time where you were less likely to get called out for it. Yes, that's more like it. And I mean, it was also much of like a bubble, like a shock factor. And you know, I've been doing a lot of watching of like older movies because like, you know, with my girlfriend, I like show her old movies that I grew up on, and then I've been comparing them to movies like Back to the Future. Like that's in like late 80s movie, and then you compare it to something like The Hot Chick, which is like early 2000s movie, and it's like, what happened? Something fucking weird happened in the early 2000s to late 90s that like humanity just got really fucking raunchy, but still not as raunchy as Shane Dawson.
In like the 2000s, like till 2012, it was really edgy.
I think it's built up frustration and the ignorance of the world, the failure to see these kinds of things, you know? Somebody was asking, how can a 12-year-old give consent? Because, you know, in Lisa's apology, that's a gotcha. Oh, you can't really go right with that. When Shane and Lisa were doing the weird sex education birds and bees talk, as he puts it, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I think he took it too far. Why would you ask a 12-year-old if she's on her period? That's fucking weird. I don't know. I don't get why a parent would say that. In my opinion, he probably pulled it like James Charles, where he said, "Oh, it's going to be a joke," and didn't give it all the way, you know, because Shane Dawson was also caught lying for that in his statement. He said that...
Sent James a trailer. He obviously was scared and like, oh my God, like, I just got over this. I don't want to deal with this again. Like, what? But he trusted me, and I was like, trust me. And he was like, okay, I trust you.
But that's not true. Apparently, James Charles' best friend, CassieeMua, James first said he didn't want the drama to be put on in the trailer because Shane Dawson reached out to him, and James said, no, that's going to reopen wounds. So it's funny that Shane would even use that language. Okay, I just got breaking news. People are saying that Garrett Watts made a tweet. Garrett Watts says, things that are good need very few words. Good things don't need to endlessly campaign with an onslaught of words to convince anyone of their good. They just are. Good things are very effortlessly felt in your heart and mind, much like this beautiful song. Garrett Watts is one of Shane Dawson's best friends. He's like the unproblematic one. He's a Harry Potter fan. He's good. He's one of the good ones. You know, that's what we think. Oh, shit. Things that are good need very few words. Good things don't need to endlessly campaign with an onslaught of words to convince anyone of their good. Shane Dawson's video apology, why was it 20 minutes? And why is an endless campaign of apologizing? Some former friends of Shane also spoke up about him, and not in a pleasant light. Qaadir Howard recently had a live stream, and this is a taste of what he had to say.
Oh, Shane, girl, what about her, girl? The racist, girl, we already know what it serves. Here's the thing about it. Shane, you should have changed. I gave you plenty of time. I did. Her and her mama and her whole family is a fucking racist bitch. Girl, you know I lived with this queen, and her mama is batshit crazy. And when I say crazy, she needs to be medicated. She needs to be medicated like yesterday. The thing with you is I tried to give you a chance. I reached out to this bitch a little while ago, maybe, I don't know, like a year or two ago, just to see if she had changed. Because I already knew I was going to guillotine her ass if she didn't change. Because I don't give a fuck. I'm like, okay, I've read plenty of girls before. She ain't no different.
Bree Essrig, another former friend, also echoed the sentiment of Shane being racist through a Twitter statement and some tweets. Bree said that she witnessed Shane ruin the lives and reputations of two of their black friends, also saying that whenever he was called out about it, he would quickly blame his childhood trauma as to why he was the way he was. However, there was a glimmer of positivity when Brittani Louise Taylor spoke positively of Shane, sharing a story of a time when Shane bought an Apple employee an iPad, saying that he does things like this that people just don't hear about. It's a lot of information overall, and I'm personally exhausted from all of this, guys. It's been a lot to take in, you know. I encourage you guys to put up a YouTube video doing like a 5-minute workout exercise, and I know a lot of gyms are closed, at least the one near me. Take care of yourselves, remember to drink water, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.